Hello and welcome to another Lamp Bible Study. My name is James and this is Lamp Bible Study. And I am your Bible reader and I will continue to be your Bible reader and host of Lamp Bible Study. And we do Bible study every Tuesday and Thursday. So I hope you enjoy. I hope that the word speaks through to you and through you as well. And that this is a blessing to you because I know it's definitely a blessing to me, and I always am excited every Tuesday and Thursday for to do another Lamp Bible study. And so we are currently in the book of Joshua, and we are going to start off with Joshua chapter 16 today. I'm reading from an NIV Collegiate Bible, and of course, like I said before, I'll be going over different versions as well. So today for me, it wasn't too busy. There has been a lot on my mind when it comes to my daily tasks and things that I need to plan for. So, and this previous Sunday was very interesting. Saw someone I hadn't seen in a while, and it was a connection because it actually was their daughter. And so I had worked with their mother for some time previously in a different position, and so it was just interesting because it was like a connection that I didn't even know. I didn't know that this person was the daughter of this person. So it was very nice and very much a blessing. And I was invited to a church, and so I went and I had an excellent experience. And I like to do that. I like if someone invites me to a church or to a service, I typically go. I typically check my schedule, make sure it's clear, or if there is something, I try to clear it. Because I enjoy going and experiencing different services, different viewpoints, different ideas, just all the ways that the Lord speaks to us and works through us. And I invite people. I invite people to Bible study. I invite people to any type of service that I'm going to as well. And, when it comes to strangers, it's always good to do that, as well as people who believe. It's always good to be fed. And so I pray and hope that we continue to seek God's wisdom together and learn and continue to read through the Holy Word. So let's get started today with Joshua chapter 16. And I have a confession. I did just get back from a very long bike ride. So I do have my little tally here so I can pat myself instead of wiping with my thumb every now and then. Don't want to get any perspiration on the holy pages. So let's continue to read chapter 16. Allotment for Ephraim and Manasseh. Again, this is the Old Testament. When it comes to these words, I do my best in pronunciation. Some things I kind of know how to pronounce and some things I don't. If you do know the correct pronunciation, say them, if you do know how they are correctly pronounced and you want to type them in the comments, please do so. I always read comments, and this is posted on the YouTube page. So just, if you know how to know how the correct pronunciation, like I said, just leave a comment or send a email for the email contacts on the contact page. The allotment for Joseph began at the Jordan of Jericho, east of the waters of Jericho, and went up from there through the desert into the hill country of Bethel. It went on from Bethel, that is Luz, crossed over to the territory of the Archites in Ataroth, descended westward to the territory of the Japhilites, as far as the region of Lower Beth Horon and on to Gezer, ending at the sea. So where we left off was, remember, Joseph is now old in age. Joshua is now old of age. He's more mature. Didn't mean to say old, although it does say old, but he's more mature now. He's getting more mature in age, and the Lord's telling him he needs to start going ahead and divvying up the land, the promised land, because it was taking them a while to conquer the other nations that were living within the promised land. And so the Lord said, guess what? I'll go through the rest of the land and do the rest for you. So, but just go ahead and start divvying up the land before, it's your time. So that's what Josh was doing, and that's what we're going through. We're going through the allotments from each of the 12 tribes. So I remember the Levites, they didn't get an allotment because they belonged to the Lord. So they worked for the Lord in the temples and the tabernacles and such, and anywhere that they had set up worship for the Lord. So that's backstory. Let's continue to read. So Manasseh and Ephraim, the descendants of Joseph, received their inheritance. This was the territory of Ephraim, clan by clan. The boundary of their inheritance went from Ataroth Adar in the east to Upper Beth Horon and continued to the sea. From Mixmathath on the north, it curved eastward to Tanath Shiloh, passing by it to Janoah on the east. Then it went down from Janoah to Ataroth and Nera, touched Jericho, and came out at the Jordan. From Tapua, the border went west to the Kana ravine and ended at the sea. This was the inheritance of the tribe of the Ephraimites, clan by clan. It also included all the towns and their villages that were set aside for the Ephraimites within the inheritance of the Manassites. They did not dislodge the Canaanites living in Gezer. To this day, the Canaanites live among the people of Ephraim, but are required to do forced labor. So, if you don't remember before, and especially in the previous Bible study, excuse me, the Lord told them to drive out all the nations. And if they did it, that those nations would be a stumbling block to Israel. So we're going to see, because obviously the tribes didn't listen, Israel didn't listen, and they didn't drive out all of the inhabitants of Canaan. So we'll see what happens. Let's continue to read. This was the allotment for the tribe of Manasseh as Joseph's firstborn. That is for Machir, Manasseh's firstborn. Machir was the ancestor of the Gileadites, who had received Gilead and Bashan because the Machirites were great soldiers. So this allotment was for the rest of the people of Manasseh, the clans of Abiezer, Helek, Azriel, Shechem, Hefer, and Shemitah. These are the other male descendants of Manasseh, son of Joseph, by their clans. Now Zelophehad, son of Hephar, the son of Gilead, the son of Machir, the son of Manasseh, had no sons, but only daughters, whose names were Mahlah, Noah, Hoglah, Milcah, and Tirzah. They went to Eliezer the priest, Joshua son of Nun, and the leaders, and said, "The Lord commanded Moses to give us an inheritance among our brothers." So Joshua gave them an inheritance along with the brothers of their father, according to the Lord's command. Manasseh's share consisted of 10 tracts of land besides Gilead and Bashan east of the Jordan, because the daughters of the tribe of Manasseh received an inheritance among the sons. The land of Gilead belonged to the rest of the descendants of Manasseh. So a little bit of backstory on that is that there was an issue where it came to one of the families that it was true there was only daughters in the family, and so part of the rules, or part of the original laws that were given, was that only the sons, and so the daughters went to Moses and said, inquire of God of this type of situation. And so God gave him the answer, and he agreed. He said, no, that if certain situations happen and there's only daughters, that it should go to the daughters. And he left instructions for how land would be stay within each tribe. instead of other tribes and other clans obtaining parts of the promised land that additional parts of the promised land. So he listened. So so far, what we've read, and then bringing past into the present and future, this is divvying up the promised land clan by clan, and our understanding of a fulfillment. So a fulfillment with promises, with what the Lord says he's going to do. And that requires us listening and being patient. And so the Israelites didn't have the promised land overnight. It took some time to obtain the promised land. And so that's what we have to look at as well. Sometimes things can happen overnight for us, and that is awesome. That is a blessing. And so is when we're patient. That is also a blessing. And it's the same. It's the same whether we have to wait for it or if we get it immediately. It's all the same, as in a blessing and God's grace to us. And so that's something that we can think about in our own lives, whether it be a bonus, whether it be good things happening in our lives. We can be thankful because those are promises kept and promises told to us. Sometimes we're not listening. We're just praying. I know a lot of times, and including myself, like I said, I'm a sinner too. I try not to sin. I read the word. I try to walk with the Lord as much as possible, as much as I can try to, but I know I need to try harder. I need to do better. I need to try harder, do better for my life, period. Because we're here to love each other and love the Lord, love Jesus. And so when it comes to being patient and being thankful and grateful and understanding that when you do receive your blessing, all good things come from above. And I can definitely truly say that all good things come from above. Like I just mentioned, I went on a bike ride. I myself could not do what I currently am doing. There's no way. I know that fact, like for a fact. I know that energy and that strength and that endurance comes from the Lord. I pray about it. I ask Jesus for strength and endurance and energy, holy endurance, holy strength, for my protection over my body, my lungs, my heart. And I'm able to complete a extensive ride. And that energy, I know I don't. I know when I was a kid, I would zoom throughout the neighborhoods on my bike. Could I zoom through the neighborhoods like that now? Myself? No, absolutely not. With the Lord, though, let me tell you, the Lord you will be amazed at the blessing that the Lord will provide you. You pray for it, you ask it, you seek it, you listen for it, you're patient for it, and God will provide. He will provide, and your cup will overflow. He will provide more of a blessing than you ever realized or asked for. So with all of that, including thoughts and feelings, what kind of thoughts or feelings come to your mind over this information, this truth that we're reading, over how the clans and the tribes are now getting their inheritance, tribe by tribe, clan by clan? What kind of thoughts or feelings come to your mind? How does it make you feel, and what does it make you think? I could just think there's so many people. Think about it today. Like, if you had 1 million people and you said, and you went someplace. You went to someplace and you said, okay, all this land, like they didn't have anything. Let's say that they didn't have anything, or they just had the clothes off their back, and you were like, and a cell phone or whatever. But think about it, how it would go down today. That would be a task. Let me tell you, there would be like lots of disputes. Like that person's land's more than mine, and so just thinking about how it would go down today and the possibilities of how it may have went. However, because they were walking with the Lord, and mostly, it's like, I had to point that out because remember, they did leave some Canaanites in there. Could there have been little petty issues here and there? It doesn't sound like. I think that the whole nation was just ready. You know what I mean? Like that's that's how I kind of feel. Like they went through all of this, and they're at that point. They were just all in agreement. Like, okay, what may be will be. Whatever my land is allotted, that's what that's where I'm going. And so and over time, we'll see how things end up. But right now, with those allotments and those thoughts and feelings, I just wanted to add to that too, because remember, we also look at past and present with these items. What kind of thoughts or feelings come to your mind in regards to even thinking about allotments to people? How it would affect people even today? How does it make you feel, and what does it make you think? Let's continue to read. The territory of Manasseh extended from Ashar to Mismathath east of Shechem. The boundary ran southward from there to include the people living in Tapua. Manasseh had the land of Tapua, but Tapua itself on the boundary of Manasseh belonged to the Ephraimites. Then the boundary continued south to the Kanah ravine. There were towns belonging to Ephraim lying among the towns of Manasseh, but the boundary of Manasseh was the northern side of the ravine and ended at the sea. On the south, the land belonged to Ephraim, on the north to Manasseh. The territory of Manasseh reached the sea and bordered Asher on the north and Issachar on the east. Within Issachar and Asher, Manasseh also had Bethshan, Ilblim, and the people of Dor, Endor, Tanakh, and Megiddo, together with their surrounding settlements. The third in the list is Naphoth. Yet the Manassites were not able to occupy these towns, for the Canaanites were determined to live in that region. However, when the Israelites grew stronger, they subjected the Canaanites to forced labor, but did not drive them out completely. The people of Joseph said to Joshua, why have you given us only one allotment and one portion for an inheritance? Surprise. So maybe things did happen that way. And I said petty. They don't, not necessarily petty. They may have been full-blown arguments and yellings and who knows. But there were issues. And you can already tell that there were issues because they weren't following through. They weren't driving all the Canaanites out like they were supposed to. So you can already tell that there may be issues to come. So, So just reading over this, yet the Manassites were not able to occupy these towns, for the Canaanites were determined to live in that region. Yes, Israel grew stronger, and they subjugated or subjected the Canaanites to forced labor. But they're not gone, so they're still practicing their pagan practices, their other religion. And so just thinking about that, if in our lives, when we don't follow through, when we listen to the Lord, the Lord lets us in on something, or gives us something, or tells us something, and asks us to do something, we don't follow through. He's not just saying it just because. The Lord's saying it because he loves us and he wants the best for us. So if we don't follow through, if we don't do what we need to do, whether it's patience, whether it's assistance, whatever it may be, things can end up not so good. So what kind of thoughts or feelings come to your mind when we read over this, knowing that Israel did not drive out, once again, all of the Canaanites? What kind of thoughts or feelings come to your mind? How does it make you feel, and what does it make you think? Let's continue to read. The people of Joseph said to Joshua, "Why have you given us only one allotment and one portion for an inheritance? Why we are a numerous people, and the Lord has blessed us abundantly." "If you are so numerous," Joshua answered, "and if the hill country of Ephraim is too small for you, go up into the forest and clear land for yourselves there in the land of the Perizzites and Rephites." The people of Joseph replied, "The hill country is not enough for us, and all the Canaanites who live in the plain have iron chariots, both those in Beth Shan and its settlements, and those in the valley of Jezreel." So, what's the point again? The Lord's with you. The Lord's telling you to go and take these areas, and their issue is the Canaanites who live in the plain have iron chariots. So we can already see a pattern still. At this point, the question remains, they're looking at what they see physically and not having full faith in the Lord. And that happens to us too. So let's continue to read, and then we'll go back. But Joshua said to the house of Joseph, to Ephraim and Manasseh, "You are numerous and very powerful. You will have not only one allotment, but the forested hill country as well. Clear it, and its farthest limits will be yours. Though the Canaanites have iron chariots, and though they are strong, you can drive them out." So they were voicing their concerns to Joshua, who Joshua was strong in his faith, and told them, "You're strong too. You'll be able to drive them out. You have a living God. They have iron chariots." There's no comparison. A living God to iron chariots. Iron chariots are nothing. God created iron. And he showed them time and time again where a lot of times they were prepared for battle and never had to fight anybody. The Lord sent a confusing spirit or something, the Lord did something and rained hailstones, killed the warriors, the clan or whoever they were trying to fight against warriors. And yet, so they voiced their concern, and Joshua did correctly. He said correctly, Though they are strong, you can drive them out. And really, when it comes to one of the things when it comes to talking about the Lord is hoping that your talk also strengthens the people that you're talking to. So it's easier where there's two or more, because where there's two or more, there I am, right? Speaking of the Lord. And that makes it easier when, if you're not, however, with someone, just pray about it, because the Lord is still with you. The Lord is still with you. Pray together with that person to strengthen, for strength and understanding. Strength and understanding of knowledge and wisdom. Seeking wisdom through the Holy Word. There it is. And so there's a lot just here. The Israelites were afraid, basically, and worried, afraid. They mentioned iron chariots. They mentioned specifically things that they were worried about. Now, one thing is, do they go directly to God? They went to Joshua. We can already tell that there's issues because they're not driving out all the Canaanites. And so in this case, he's telling them, drive out the Canaanites, you can do it. He's encouraging them. So when it comes to people, including myself, including people I know, including people at church, whether there be pastors or leaders or preachers or priests or choir directors, whoever, ushers, whoever it is, we need encouragement. And it's okay to encourage, because sometimes our vision, our physical, our humanity where it comes and as a stumbling block, as in things we see, feel, or touch, look at, smell, they have a hindrance to us. They can prevent us, because our thoughts mean fire, hot. Fire can burn me. But when the Lord tells you it's okay, and I'm not meaning, and trust and believe, I'm not saying let's light a match. Not at all. What I'm saying is where there's humanistic thoughts and feelings and dangers, even small ones like a spider, or, and I'm saying small, I don't mean small, I mean there's all kinds of things that we humanistically can be afraid of. But when the Lord's with us, he's with us. You have to have that faith, and everything will be okay. Whatever the situation is, if you're told you need a procedure, you have to have the procedure, and it's a risk. Pray about it, and you'll have peace with making your decision. Give it to the Lord. Reading over these passages and understanding that we too, as humans, have fears, feelings, and doubts. But we also need to encourage each other when we can, and through the Holy Word and through the Holy Spirit. What kind of thoughts or feelings come to your mind? How does it make you feel, and what does it make you think? Okay, let's continue to read. Division of the rest of the land. The whole assembly of the Israelites gathered at Shiloh and set up the tent of meeting there. The country was brought under their control, but there were still 7 Israelite tribes who had not yet received their inheritance. So Joshua said to the Israelites, "How long will you wait before you begin to take possession of the land that the Lord, the God of your fathers, has given you? Appoint 3 men from each tribe. I will send them out to make a survey of the land and to write a description of it, according to the inheritance of each. Then they will return to me. You are to divide the land into 7 parts. Judah is to remain in its territory on the south, and the house of Joseph in its territory on the north. After you have written descriptions of the 7 parts of the land, bring them here to me, and I will cast lots for you in the presence of the Lord our God. So Joshua is telling them exactly what to do and what they need to do in order to distribute the rest of the land. The Levites, however, do not get a portion among you, because the priestly service of the Lord is their inheritance. And Gad, Reuben, and the half-tribe of Manasseh have already received their inheritance on the east side of the Jordan. Moses, the servant of the Lord, gave it to them. As the men started on their way to map out the land, Joshua instructed them, "Go and make a survey of the land and write a description of it. Then return to me, and I will cast lots for you here at Shiloh in the presence of the Lord." So the men left and went through the land. They wrote its description on a scroll, town by town, in 7 parts, and returned to Joshua in the camp at Shiloh. Joshua then cast lots for them in Shiloh in the presence of the Lord, and there he distributed the land to the Israelites according to their tribal divisions. So these, for some odd reason, 7 tribes had not, there was probably quarreling. There may have been quarreling. I'm not quite sure. There may have been issues. And so Joshua's like, okay, the survey thing was good, so we're going to use that again. It was good. It didn't, because of 10 of the chosen people did not follow what the Lord commanded them. There was an issue, but the purpose of the survey was good. And so Joshua was like, okay, yeah, let's do this. And then I will cast lots in front of the Lord, basically saying, Lord's helping to choose, and this is how it's going to go. And so sometimes so bringing past to present. So if you're not the leader, let's say we're not a leader in a group or what have you, we have to follow along with somebody. We always want to pray for people who are in charge as well, that they make correct decisions. And so in this case, bringing things to the Lord to help make the decision and help bring that peace about the decision making, that always helps. So think about that too. In groups, in group settings and such, it's always good to pray for whoever's having to make that final decision. And in this case, Joshua's having to make that decision, and he's bringing the issue to the Lord. And that way, there will be the Lord helping, stepping in, having the final say, so that way the tribes should not have any issues. We'll see what happens, right? With that, what kind of thoughts or feelings come to your mind over this, the sending out the men to take a survey, the survey coming back with the information, and then Joshua casting lots? How does it make you feel, and what does it make you think? Let's continue to read. Allotment for Benjamin. The lot came up for the tribe of Benjamin, clan by clan. Their allotted territory lay between the tribes of Judah and Joseph. On the north side, their boundary began at the Jordan, past the northern slope of Jericho, and headed west into the hill country, coming out at the desert of Beth Evan. From there, it crossed to the south slope of Luz, that is Bethel, and went down to Ataroth Adar on the hill south of Lower Beth Horon. From the hill facing Beth Horon on the south, the boundary turned south along the western side and came out at Kirith Baal, that is Kirith Jearim, a town of the people of Judah. This was the western side. The southern side began at the outskirts of Kirith Jearim on the west, and the boundary came out came out at the spring of the waters of Nephtoah. The boundary went down to the foot of the hill facing the valley in Ben Hinnom, north of the valley of Rephaim. It continued down the Hinnom Valley along the southern slope of the Jebusite city, and so to En Rogel. It then curved north, went to En Shemesh, continued to Gil-Liloth, which faces the pass of Adumim, and ran down to the stone of Bohan, son of Reuben. It continued to the northern slope of Beth Arabah and on down into the Arabah. It then went to the northern slope of Beth Hoglah and came out at the northern bay of the Salt Sea at the mouth of the Jordan in the south. This was the southern boundary. So throughout the Bible, when they describe like land, they usually use like towns and mountains and rivers and such as boundaries. And it's very common. And so that's why there's a list of towns and list of places, and rivers and oceans and seas and everything, as put here, so that we know, they know where their allotments were, and it helps us to know kind of where things were as well. But this is how, instead of having fences or stuff like that, we currently have today, but this is before towns and everything were built up. And this is it's good to know these things back then, so that way they knew, okay, these are our territories, or this is our area, so there's no disputes. With that, what kind of thoughts or feelings come to your mind? How does it make you feel, and what does it make you think? Like I mentioned before, like they're telling them these towns and rivers and seas and everything as boundaries. Like today, most commonly used properties lines are like fences typically. Going through neighborhoods, you see a lot of properties with fences, and if you don't, you can kind of see by how they're maybe treated. Some may cut their grass really low, some may cut their grass high. You can kind of tell the different properties. So, just going around neighborhoods and going around different areas of the country. And sometimes there's not fences. Sometimes it's just, we still use rivers and lakes and streams as boundaries today. So it says a lot about the times and what's good to utilize as boundaries. Let's continue to read. The Jordan formed the boundary on the eastern side. These were the boundaries that marked out the inheritance of the clans of Benjamin on all sides. The tribe of Benjamin, clan by clan, had the following cities: Jericho, Beth Hoglah, Emek, Keziz, Beth Arabah, Zarmarim, Bethel, Evim, Pera, Opra, Kephar, Omni, Opni, and Geba, 12 towns and their villages. Gibeon, Ramah, Beroth, Mizpah, Kiprith, Moza, Rakim, Irpeel, Tarla, Zela, Halaf, the Jebusite city, that is Jerusalem, Gibeah, and Kiriath, 14 towns and their villages. This was the inheritance of Benjamin for its clans. Again, lots of names and lots of different cities. One in particular. Think about one, which is Jerusalem, and how we're going to see that play a role even in the New Testament. So take note of that. And reading over the towns and cities, what kind of thoughts or feelings come to your mind? How does it make you feel, and what does it make you think? Let's continue to read. Allotment for Simeon. The second lot came out for the tribe of Simeon, clan by clan. Their inheritance lay with the territory of Judah, included Beersheba or Sheba, Malada, Hazar, Shual, Bela, Ezem, El-Tolad, Bethul, Hormah, Ziklag, Beth Markaboth, Hazar, Susa, Beth Leboeth, and Shurahan, 13 towns and their villages. Ain, Rimmon, Ether, and Ashan, 4 towns and their villages, and all the villages around these towns as far as Baalath, Beer, Ramah, and the Negev. This was the inheritance of the tribe of the Simeonites, clan by clan. The inheritance of the Simeonites was taken from the share of Judah because Judah's portion was more than they needed. So the Simeonites received their inheritance within the territory of Judah. So remember, not one group is not going to have too much or too little. So they were making sure that each of the clans and each of the tribes had proper amount of territory. So what kind of thoughts or feelings come to your mind? Do we do that? So when we're splitting up things, do we make sure to split things up? And I have a question because for you. And I know myself, I always catch myself and I stop. So when I'm splitting things up, let's just use food because it's the easiest. I look and I see the best portions. And I'm like, immediately divide those up and I give those away. You're like, why? Because it's not necessarily my gift, nor is it meant for me to have the best things, especially all the time. And so I want to provide, I want to be a blessing, I want to help others. And so when I see the best things, I don't typically immediately go up and I don't go up and obtain the best things. I always look for the scraps or for what's left, or I typically do that. Do we do that? When you're dividing slices of cake and you notice there's a large slice compared to other smaller slices, do we take the larger slice or do we hand that off? It comes in all things, including in life. There's allotment of prizes. Do you split it up evenly? Or do you try to take the best thing or the thing that you want the most? From the past to the present. You're getting a blessing. You're obtaining a blessing, right? Whether it be food, whether it be whatever. And how are you treating that? How am I treating that? Am I taking advantage? Am I spoiling it by sinning with it? It's lots to think about, lots to really look at in our own lives when it comes to this, allotments and such. There's a lot here, even though it feels like, oh, we're reading about boundaries and towns and streams and such. There's still a lot to take from it and to apply to our own lives. What kind of thoughts or feelings come to your mind about these allotments? How does it make you feel, and what does it make you think? Let's continue to read. Allotment for Zebulun. The third lot came up for Zebulun, clan by clan. The boundary of their inheritance went as far as Sarid. Going west, it ran to Moriah, touched Debesheth, and extended to the ravine near Jokanim. It turned east from Sarid toward the sunrise to the territory of Kisloth Tabor, and went on to Debereth and up to Japhia. Then it continued eastward to Gath Hefer and Eth Kazin. It came out at Ramon and turned toward Nia. There the boundary went around on the north to Hananathon, or Hanathon, and ended at the valley of Eptal. Included were Katatath, Nahalala, Shimron, Adela, and Bethlehem. There were 12 towns and their villages. A lot of the words were like split on different lines, so I was like, okay, to the right now, all the way down and to the left. So these towns and their villages were the inheritance of Zebulun, clan by clan. So now Zebulun has inheritance. Remember, patience is a virtue. And look, the town of Bethlehem was included in this allotment. And that's going to play an important role. So, reading over this allotment, what kind of thoughts or feelings come to your mind? How does it make you feel, and what does it make you think? Let's continue to read. Allotment for Issachar. The fourth lot came out for Issachar, clan by clan. The territory included Jezreel, Kesluoth, Shunem, Hephaim, Shion, Anaharath, Rabith, Kishion, Ebez, Remeth, in Genem, in Haddah, and Beth Pazez. The boundary touched Tabor, Shahuzamah, and Beth Shemesh, and ended at the Jordan. There were 16 towns in their villages. These towns and their villages were the inheritance of the tribe of Issachar, clan by clan. So now, Issachar allotment, remember there's 7 tribes, so that did not have their allotment for inheritance. So now, this is the tribe of Issachar, and they came up fourth. And so, how do you think these allotments went? Having to be patient, wondering what area of the inheritance you're going to get. How do you think that went? Think about it today. When you have, I don't know why I'm thinking of like bingo, but when you have people having to wait. I'm going to use food again. I know, this is just crazy. Food restaurants. So there's lots of people that come and go, and the host has to seat people, and they have to seat people. They have to see what's available. There's tables, smaller tables, larger tables, and you may have like a medium-sized group. Let's say you have 4 people, and you've been waiting there, and other people who come along, they're come and arrive, and the host says, okay, well, I have a table for 2, and they take them back, and you're still waiting. Think of it as in things that we can think of as of today. How does that make you feel when your name's not pulled up? A party of 12 comes in, and they have a big space, and they're like, okay, well, we don't have the table for 4, which is usually like 4 to 6, but we have a space for the 12. I'm trying to put thoughts and feelings into your mind when it comes to having patience, understanding, considering others before yourself, aligning your thoughts and feelings, aligning my thoughts and feelings correctly. There have been times where I've went someplace and I've noticed I've been passed over again and again and again, there's always a reason. And sometimes I'm I'm not speaking in this terms, but sometimes you may have to leave. Sometimes that does happen because you may have stayed and it may have been a bad situation. You may have been, the food may have not been cooked rightly, or something bad may have happened. But sometimes patience, you have to be patient, and whether it's forced on you or not. And there's always a reason. There's always a reason. So, reading over this allotment for Issachar, and they're the fourth lot. So, they're the fourth to take a turn. What kind of thoughts or feelings come to your mind? How does it make you feel, and what does it make you think? Let's continue to read. Allotment for Asher. The fifth lot came out of the tribe of Asher, clan by clan. Their territory included Helkath, Hali, Betin, Asaph, Elimelech, Ahmad, and Michelle. On the west, the boundary touched Carmel and Sihor Libnath. It then turned east toward Beth Dagon, touched Zebulun and the valley of Ipatah El, and went north to Beth Emek and Neiel, passing Kabul on the left. It went to Abdon, Rehob, Haman, and Kenah as far as Greater Sidon. The boundary then turned back toward Ramah and went to the fortified city of Tyre, turned toward Hosa, and came out at the sea in the region of Asib, Umma, Ephek, and Rehob. There were 22 towns and their villages. These towns and their villages were the inheritance of the tribe of Asher, clan by clan. So now, the tribe of Asher was the fifth allotment. What kind of thoughts or feelings come to your mind? How does it make you feel, and what does it make you think? Let's continue to read. Allotment for Naphtali. The sixth lot came out for Naphtali, clan by clan. Their boundary went from Heleph and the large tree in Zananim, interesting large tree, it's a boundary, passing Adami, Nekheb, and Jabneel to Lucum and ending at the Jordan. The boundary ran west through Aznoth Tabor and came out at Hukkok. It touched Zebulun on the south, Asher on the west, and the Jordan on the east. The fortified cities were Ziddim, Zer, Hamath, Rakath, Gennereth, Adamah, Ramah, Hazor, Kadesh, Edrei, Eri Hazor, Iron, Megdal El, Horem, Beth Anath, and Beth Shemesh. These were 19 towns and their villages. These towns and their villages were the inheritance of the tribe of Naphtali, clan by clan. Again, what kind of thoughts or feelings come to your mind? The camera's being funny. How does it make you feel? And I accidentally hit it. What does it make you think? Let's continue to read. Allotment for Dan. The seventh lot came out for the tribe of Dan, clan by clan. The territory of their inheritance included Zorah, Eshtaol, Ir Shemesh, Shalabim, Ajalon, Ithla, Elon, Timnah, Ekron, Eltekah, Gibbethon, Belath, Jehud, Bene Barak, Gath Ramon, Me Jarkon, and Rakan, with the area facing Joppa. But the Danites had difficulty taking possession of their territory, so they went up and attacked Leshem, took it, put it to the sword, and occupied it. They settled in Leshem and named it Dan after their forefather. Their towns and their villages were the inheritance of the tribe of Dan, clan by clan. So interesting. The tribe of Dan had difficulty taking possession of their land. Wonder why? Interesting. What kind of thoughts or feelings come to your mind? How does it make you feel, and what does it make you think? Let's continue to read. Allotment for Joshua. When they had finished dividing the land into its allotment, or its allotted portions, the Israelites gave Joshua, son of Nun, an inheritance among them, as the Lord had commanded. They gave him the town he asked for, Timnath Serah, in the hill country of Ephraim, and he built up the town and settled there. These are the territories that Eleazar, the priest, Joshua, son of Nun, and the heads of the tribal clans of Israel assigned by lot at Shiloh in the presence of the Lord at the entrance to the tent of meeting, and so they finished dividing the land. So they finally were able to finish dividing the land and for all the tribal allotments. So every single tribe were to go out and start settling and start following and continue to follow the law. And the Levites were there as priests to help each clan in each area to do that, to follow and worship the Lord and start just living instead of having to travel around. So there's a lot here. And think about what I just said. So they have been traveling for years out of Egypt and had no place to settle. And so now they were getting to settle. But let me read this last part again real quickly in the middle of the passage. So Israel signed by lot. I'll just read the whole thing again. These are the territories that Eleazar the priest, Joshua son of Nun, and the heads of the tribal clans of Israel assigned by lot at Shiloh in the presence of the Lord at the entrance to the tent of meeting, and so they finished dividing the land. Where I slow down, at the entrance to the tent of meeting. So that plays a role into thoughts and feelings and such, because they're still using a mobile way to worship the Lord. So let's see what happens, right? Because they're getting their allotment, they're getting to settle. That's going to play a role, a key. Think about that. Make note of that. What kind of thoughts or feelings come to your mind? How does it make you feel, and what does it make you think? Looks like we may go over just a little bit in time. Let's continue to read. Cities of refuge. Then the Lord said to Joshua, tell the Israelites to designate the cities of refuge as I instructed you through Moses, so that anyone who kills a person accidentally and unintentionally may flee there and find protection from the avenger of blood. When he flees to one of these cities, he is to stand in the entrance of the city gate and state his case before the elders of that city. Then they are to admit him into their city and give him a place to live with them. If the avenger of blood pursues him, they must not surrender the one accused, because he killed his neighbor unintentionally and without malice aforethought. He is to stay in that city until he has stood trial before the assembly, and until the death of the high priest who is serving at that time. Then he may go back to his own home in the town from which he fled. So they set apart Kadesh in Galilee, in the hill country of Naphtali, Shechem in the hill country of Ephraim, and Kiriath Arba, that is Hebron, in the hill country of Judah, on the east side of the Jordan of Jericho. They designated Bezer in the desert on the plateau in the tribe of Reuben, Ramoth in Gilead in the tribe of Gad, and Golan in Bashan in the tribe of Manasseh. Any of the Israelites or any alien living among them who killed someone accidentally could flee to these designated cities and not be killed by the avenger of blood prior to standing trial before the assembly. So that was a very important part, because remember, under they had the laws and guidance and such. This is again back under the law in Old Testament, and we'll get more in depth with why we need Jesus, because Jesus is the completion of the law. And remember what I just said. So we'll talk about that, especially when we get to the New Testament. Jesus is the fulfillment and completion of the law. So, but these towns of refuge were very important because of accidents. Accidents do happen. It could be accidents that cause death, because we are mortals, And so, in these instances, the avenger of blood could be somebody that's just angry. The Lord's showing that humans have emotions and they have anger too, and so it was to protect that person to be able to live, and they had to make sure that they followed the rules of living in those safe haven towns. Otherwise, if they left, they could be basically killed, and it was on them at that point for not abiding by the guidance. And so, bringing things into nowadays, we have court systems, we have prisons, we have all kinds of, we have trials, we have lawyers. There's all kinds of things that we go through nowadays. So, and we have laws. We have all kinds of laws and regulations and such. And so thinking about that today, when somebody does do something bad, we even have unintentional manslaughter. So someone did get killed, but you caused the death. So there may be a lesser sentence, but there may be a sentence. May or may not be. Sometimes there isn't, because sometimes it's truly unintentional. And uncontrollable and unintentional, but that, has to go through court systems and juries and all kinds of different things. And so there's all of that now. And, even in the New Testament, during the times of Roman, they had similar things. They had all kinds of laws and rules and such. So with that, and how we live with laws and rules today, what kind of thoughts or feelings come to your mind? How does it make you feel, and what does it make you think? Let's do a quick review over the portions that we just read over. So we started off with the allotment of Ephraim and Manasseh, and how they were allotted territories, and as well, and clan by clan and such, and how they were able to have their allotment first, or not first, but they were also able to have their allotment. And then we also read about how there was an issue because 7 of the other tribes had not allotted their land. And so we read about how Joshua had to send out some men to do a survey of the land and come back with a report, and then he would do he would cast lots in front of the tabernacle before the Lord. So he was saying, hey, I'm giving this to the Lord. He's going to choose for us. He's going to show us through these casting of a lot who's going to go where. And so I know there was issues, because as you heard, there were issues. Oh, I don't have enough land, or I don't know, because there's iron chariots, So we already are starting to see the thought process and pattern, whether that be humanistic or not relying on God, not having the faith. And so we need encouragement. We need our faith to be strengthened. We can ask God for that. And it's also good for others who are believers to strengthen, encourage us. I totally believe that. To encourage and help others, whether even if they are a believer. It's always good to mention to a pastor, preacher, a leader, a fellow Christian, hey, good job, or keep it up, or remember the Lord loves you. The Lord's there for you. Rely on Him. Go to Him. Ask Him. It's always good to provide encouragement. You're here for a reason. It's always there, and there's a reason for that. We also learned about the allotments for the rest of the tribes, and how they had to, some of them had to wait patiently, some of them weren't a lot at first. And we also were shown that the tribe of Dan had trouble taking over their parts of Canaan, and so with all of that, we also, once everybody had their inheritance, we there was a reminder: hey, set up the cities of refuge as well to protect those who are in need, and to make sure that everything is being fulfilled in the promised land. So, with all of that, what kind of thoughts or feelings come to your mind? How does it make you feel, and what does it make you think? And that concludes another fantastic Lamb Bible study. Thank you so much for joining me. Please continue to pray for me, and I will always continue to pray for you. These Lamb Bible studies do come out every Tuesdays and Thursdays, and throughout the week, I place highlights just in case you don't have enough time, because it's always great to squeeze in a little bit of time here and there when you do have time. Flashlights should already be posting as well. If you have any questions or concerns, please do drop those in the comment section, as well as there's an email address and the contact page on the YouTube channel. There's also anytime you can reach out on the Instagram page as well, Lamp Bible Study. So with that, wherever you are, have a blessed morning, blessed afternoon, or blessed day, blessed afternoon, blessed evening, and a blessed night. God bless.